Think about a competition that has been fueled by hostility for many years, where customs could be destroyed by a single Instagram post that ignites a fire. Jim Jones, the renowned member of the Dipset, 50 Cent, the king of internet trolling, and his longtime friend Chrissy Lampkin are the subjects of our dramatic story today. A scandal that rocked the culture was covered by 50 Cent, who never allows a grudge go unpunished, and the streets started to buzz. He went right to the heart of Jim Jones' private life rather than just sending a subliminal message. According to rumors, Chrissy and 50 met in secret and for a long time. Was this a fact hidden in the shadows of the brutal New York rap scene? Or was it just another clever ploy of the 1950s? Despite the fact that 50 Cent has already demolished empires, such as those of Ja Rule and Rick Ross, this hit was different. Not only record sales or street cred, but the integrity of a man's house was on the line here. For years, Jim Jones has worked to establish himself as a devoted friend and street general. However, the Goo Boss's suggestion of a betrayal of commitment forces the capo to respond. This analysis goes beyond just looking at the headlines. The history of the fight between Gunnet is what we are studying. 50 Cent's psychological strategies to obtain the upper hand and the specific image that sparked the craze. His rivals. Is Jim Jones just the next victim of 50's relentless quest for power? Or is there hard evidence of this night? Fasten your seatbelt because this high-stakes drama is about to be revealed. From dance nights in the early 2000s to the digital battlefield of today, this is the story of how a rumor became a potentially irreparable sickness. We have to go back to the early 2000s and the concrete jungles of New York City to understand how 50 Cent and Jim Jones could have such a serious falling out over a single rumor about a night out. This was a time when territory was just as important as song. The Diplomats or Dipset, headed by Keyman and his right-hand man, are there. Gianna and Capo Jim Jones were propelled for years by 50 Cent's enormous power. Both of these titans coexisted during the Cold War, due to their exaggerated egos. The city was unable to accommodate both of them, even though they shared identical tastes, attended the same clubs, and came from the same neighborhoods. After Get Rich or Die Trying became a hit, 50 Cent was determined to take down anyone who stood in his way of becoming the king of New York, the lifeblood of Harlem. On the other hand, was Jim Jones, who placed a higher priority on devotion and his Birdman aesthetics. Before 50 Cent decided to play his favorite game, psychological warfare, there was a smoldering hostility between these two groups, but it rarely turned personal when it came to their families. 50 Cent's best quality is his memory. Along with his poetic abilities, he possesses a wealth of information and is skilled at figuring out when to make the biggest damage by taking a skeleton out of someone's closet. The issue started when 50 Cent posted an old picture, which appeared to be both a well-considered and random choice. He was seen standing near to Jim Jones' longtime lover and devoted hip-hop artist Chrissy Lampkin. Although photographing to celebrities in a pub may not seem like a crime on the surface, subtext is very important in the hip-hop industry. Instead than just providing a picture, 50 Cent offered an implication. He presented the image in a way that suggested intimacy or a shared background that Jim Jones was either unaware of or had tried to hide. At once, the rumor mill was in full swing. The first person to have heard was 50 Cent, and many others began to inquire, did Jim not know about any night in the past? For the hyper-masculine culture of rap, this is the ultimate transgression. A man's pride in being the alpha in his relationship is the direct target of this. 50 Cent was fully conscious of what he was doing. By bringing Chrissy into the conversation, he went right for the heart, dispelling the cliches of rap feuds over who is wealthier or who sells more records. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin are one of the most famous and enduring couples in the industry, and he knew it. For nearly 2 decades, they have shared the highs and lows of the legal system. 50 attempted to weaken Jim's foundation by casting doubt on their historical. His intention was to make Jim appear to have taken seconds, a strategy 50 has used in the past against some of his opponents. However, why now? Why dig up a 15 or 20-year-old photo? To understand the time, we need to look at the frenemy relationship between these two during the last 10 years. 50 and Jim seem to get along in several situations. In interviews, they have praised each other's hustle, performed together on stages, and even been seen cracking jokes. However, 50 Cent frequently uses friendship as a Trojan horse. To determine his enemies' weaknesses, he stays close to them. The gap widened again as Jim Jones began to establish closer ties with some of 50's other opponents. 50 thought that my friend's enemy was also my enemy. Jim was also once attacked, once more as a result of his shifting loyalties. In the heyday of the Juna era, when 50 Cent was the most powerful person in the music industry, the aforementioned rumored night reportedly took place. During a tumultuous period between Juna and Dipset, there were rumors of a covert meeting or contact when boundaries were crossed. Whether this is true or the result of 50's imagination is essentially irrelevant. The troll wins the battle of public opinion as soon as the conversation starts. Jim Jones' relationship caused his tens of millions of followers to giggle, and they flooded his comments with 50 emojis. Jim Jones was in a difficult situation. He was well known for his violent temper and street notoriety. He looked weak if he ignored it. He got the precise response he wanted from 50 Cent. If he does respond, he waits for you to lose it, baits you with a personal jab, and then uses your anger to make you look crazy while he chuckles. The 50 Cent trap is the name given to this. For Chrissy Lampkin, the event was far more humiliating. It was a low blow for a woman who has built her own name and stood with her spouse through good times and bad, to be exploited as a pawn in a rap fight. She had to defend her persona against a tale that she didn't even start, and it brought up memories, spirits. The fissure transformed into a vast canyon as the digital world took over. The body language in that vintage photo became the subject of every podcast, blog, and Twitter discussion. Others would add, notice how others remarked, observe the smirk on 50's face. 50 Cent operates in this way. He offers. The web and the spark creates the fire. More may be stated from the silence in his caption than from 1,000 words. According to reports, it detailed a hidden partnership, a secret evening, and a betrayal that Jim Jones did not expect. The capo was not able to say nothing as the days passed and the gossip grew. The tension changed from the actual world to social media. Those close to the DiePack group began to spread rumors about Jim's discontent. Not merely a rap feud, this was a matter of New York pride. No longer. Jim Jones always considered himself to be one. A man who doesn't play the online games that 50 is so good at. However, if a man with a history of ruining careers is bringing up your woman's name in the conversation, you ought to speak out. Mud, the first scene of the drama, sets up a much larger issue for the audience. It proves that in addition to being a talented rapper, 50 Cent is also a master storyteller. He knows that in 2026, information will be more powerful than force. With Jim Jones, he effectively ruined any chance of a peaceful coexistence. By dropping this bomb on Chrissy, a woman caught in the middle of a battle between two giants. On each side of the line he drew in the sand were an angry Jim Jones and a bewildered public. But really, what happened that night? What factors led Jim Jones to decide to strike back? As this story moves on to the next phase, we will look at the immediate effects of these rumors as well as the psychological harm they inflict on the Dipset camp. The world was waiting to see if Jim Jones would play the 50's game or if he would find a way to turn this conflict around, which was just getting started. When 50 Cent punches, he not only aims for the chin, but also for the reputation. Jim Jones was in complete control of the situation as the rumors of that covert night with Chrissy Lampkin began to circulate via hip-hop blogs. In the streets of New York, stillness is sometimes interpreted as weakness. Jim Jones, a veteran who has weathered the most trying moments in the rap industry, finds himself in a challenging circumstance. Quick responses, however, could be interpreted as emotional. The conflict had progressed from a professional disagreement to an obvious violation of the code. There were days when the internet was a battlefield. Jim was bombarded with 50 Cent's Gun It fans on social media, who are notorious for being some of the most vicious trolls on the internet. They were doing more than just commenting. In addition, they were creating memes, uncovering previous interviews, and looking for any kind of evidence to back up 50's account. An attack by 50 Cent is characterized by this. For an army of followers to use on his target, he provides the ammunition. The pressure on Jim Jones was growing, not only because of the substance. When a man enjoys having no off button, how can you defend your honor and your girlfriend? Jim Jones finally spoke, but not in the way that many had expected. Jim chose a more calm approach rather than a traditional diss track or an irate Instagram live outburst. in an attempt to paint 50 Cent as a clown and a snitch who exploits women in order to stay relevant because his music career isn't what it once was. He began writing on fidelity, durability, and genuine street commerce. Jim had a strategy in place. Instead of talking about the supposed night with Chrissy, he wanted to return the conversation to 50 Cent's persona. He informed everyone that Jim was moving about the streets and maintaining a high flag for the dips. 50 was busy searching through old photo albums. Jim, though, unable to get past the Chrissy part. She is well known for her straightforward views on hip-hop and love. There is more to Chrissy Lampkin than just a romantic partner. She is a cultural icon in and of herself. Eventually, she addressed the incident with a disdainful and frigid response. She failed to provide 50 Cent with the gratification of a breakdown. She took the high road instead, implying that 50 was preoccupied with her and Jim's connection because he couldn't find a comparable relationship for himself. This was chosen because of Jive's own complicated dating history, which has been tainted by brief liaisons with several models and public disputes with his children's mothers. As a master of the pivot, 50 Cent, though, didn't slow down. He undid the dismissal of Chrissy. He began by sharing more mysterious posts that suggest that some people are skilled at deceiving themselves. He also began to mention the cape, a term used in culture to describe a male who stands up for a lady in spite of her past wrongdoings. Even more offensive was 50's reference to Jim Jones as an AHO captain. He wished to give the impression that he was more knowledgeable than Jim, or worse, things Jim was aware of, but was too frail to take action. The difference between Junit and Dipset was now more noticeable than it had been for years, when they were essentially idols. Instead of just to artists, this was about two different beliefs. On one side, where private matters are kept, Jim Jones stood in for traditional New York. Your lady is safe and secure at all times. In contrast, 50 Cent represented the new global order of social media, where nothing is sacred and everything is intended for the broader public. As the conflict grew more intense, more industry leaders began to take sides. Cameron and the other Dipset camp participants were constantly being watched. Would Cam intervene to defend his brother, or would he maintain his distance, considering how aggressive 50 Cent can be when he's driven? Surprisingly quiet in the Dipset camp led to even more rumors. Does this lead to strife within the group? Did some people believe that 50 Cent was speaking the truth? Because they generate paranoia. 50 tactics are both cruel and beautiful. He notices how people in his target's local neighborhood start to see each other differently after sowing the seeds of mistrust. It is at this period that the rumored night became its own folklore. In 2005, there were many who said it happened at a specific club or at a private celebration after a significant award ceremony. 50 Cent realized that he was winning as long as people were talking about the timing, even though none of these claims were verified. This is because, in the digital age, a viral lie spreads more quickly than a dull fact. Jim Jones believed he lived in luxury, yet especially the one getting news without putting out a single song. The rift had an effect on aspects of business as well. Jim Jones has participated in several well-known contracts, including brand, collaborations, and new music. Suddenly, every interview he had was dominated by inquiries about Chrissy and 50 Cent. Performed, it was wearing a frustrated expression. 50 was trying to leave a legacy while turning his life into a reality TV circus. The point at which your personal life starts to interfere with your bag is when the drama really started to ache. The tension reached a breaking point when a video of Jim Jones in a club aired, looking quite upset as the DJ played a 50 Cents. This is when the stakes moved from the internet to your money. Immediately after its release, the video became viral. In a matter of minutes, the rift had appeared, and naturally, 50 Cent posted it along with a remark mocking Jim for being agitated. Sources claim that the two factions had to be kept separate during important events to avoid a violent altercation. The hip-hop scene began to worry. Could this stay up online, or would it make for yet another awful headline? As we approach the conclusion of this chapter of the drama, the lines have been drawn. Jim Jones is dug in his heels because he refuses to let 50 Cent destroy his heart or his relationship. Despite Chrissy's backing of her partner, the rumor nevertheless lingers. Sitting on his digital throne, 50 Cent waits for the next opportunity to pull a knife. This conflict is on the verge of a confrontation that neither man can truly win, yet neither is willing to give up. The next section will look at the deeper psychological causes of 50 Cent's obsession with Jim and Chrissy, as well as how this specific conflict fits into the larger scheme of 50 Cent's Take No Prisoners tactic against his rivals. The receipts that supporters claim to have found will also be examined to see whether they offer any solid proof. Throughout the history of hip-hop competition, several rappers have written songs. Then there's 50 Cent, who also writes entire scripts. Destroy his competitors. The rift with Jim Jones requires an understanding of the 50 scorched earth tactic. He looks for a rift in their personal life rather than just a bad lyric when 50 targets arrive. 50 had developed a method that he was using by bringing up the spouse violation and Chrissy Lampkin over the period of 20 years. With Rick Ross and the mother of his child, we saw it. We saw this in Yahoo's incessant mockery of his family's disgrace. Although 50 Cent is aware that a man may not notice a joke about his cars or jewelry, he can't deny a public narrative that suggests his lady was formerly on the Gunnet roster. However, the internet was looking for more than a blurry Instagram picture. The drama continued into 2025 and 2026, and in the age of the deep web and obsessive fan forums, every hazy photo from a nightclub in 2004 was examined because they were looking for receipts. 50 Cent and Jim Jones both spent a lot of time in Miami during their rise, and rumors started to circulate about a night there. To prove, they found proof of 50 Cent and Chrissy attending the same exclusive events. Some fans even went so far as to fabricate flight logs and hotel records. The illusion of smoke and mirrors was created, despite the fact that most of this was clearly the product of internet detectives with too much spare time. 50 Cent just wanted people to believe it was plausible. He didn't have to prove anything. This psychological strategy is what makes the rift so dangerous. Millions of people must be making jokes about Jim Jones' partner's background in this globe. One person, who has frequently expressed his admiration for Chrissy by calling her the flyest, baddest lady from Harlem, although knowing deep down that nothing happened. Jim's authority was severely damaged by this. Jim is famously devoted to Chrissy. Despite not having a wedding band, they have been together for nearly 20 years. It was implied that Jim knew better than to get married, a trait that 50 also took advantage of. When 50 Cent began to release music and the prominence of the video that seemed to put Jim Jones in danger, most notably a controversial one showing Jim's landlord requesting past due rent for a podcast studio division, grew even more. By combining personal disdain with financial disgrace, 50 was attempting to paint Jim as a man whose entire capo character was a house of cards. Cameron's factor. As the drama unfolded, Cameron, Jim's longtime brother-in-arms, seemed to be taking sides in the dispute. This is this rift's most fascinating feature. On several platforms, Cam was seen laughing and conversing with 50 Cent while Jim was standing up for his family. To the outside world, this seemed to be the ultimate betrayal. If your own brother is able to laugh with a man who is abusing your woman, then the connection is even more authentic. 50 Cent, who is always a strategist, exploited this. By continuing to make fun of Jim Jones, he deftly alienated him inside his own group. As you lauding Cameron's financial sense, he doesn't only argue with you. He strips you of your network of support, leaving you on your own angry island. 50 wins in this manner. Chrissy Lampkin plays maybe the most noble role in this tale. Despite being the subject of several rumors, she has often maintained a minding my business attitude. She is often seen sipping her water and focusing on her own brand. Being used as a weapon in a male ego battle, however, has psychological costs that cannot be overstated. Jim Jones always has the specter of 50 Cent's rumors with him when he has an interview, whether it's with Drink Champs or Angie Martinez. He needs to keep explaining his relationship, his views on marriage, and his street cred. This is the 50C feud's never-ending cycle. It never completely finishes because 50 keeps fueling the fire. Actually comes to an end. Upon closer inspection, the alleged night has become a legendary event in New York. Legend. According to some, it was the evening at a release party when Juna Daipei almost got into a fight with him. According to some, it was a private tape meeting that was kept secret for years because of a mutual respect that has since disappeared. The rumor itself became the point of contention in the hip-hop scene of New York. Whether true or not, fans had to decide between backing the Troll King and the Harlem General, who is working to uphold his legacy.